So I'm here with a member of staff from Caius, Martin Rule, who is one of our porters, and porters are kind of the face of the college and one of the first people that you will meet if you come and visit us.
Hi, so I'm going to ask Chris a series of questions that we get asked by a lot of prospective students that come in. He doesn't know the questions I'm going to ask, so we're going to test his knowledge. So Chris, who should be applying to Cambridge?
So the bottom line is we're looking to admit students of the greatest academic potential, irrespective of background. So the one sentence answer is students with lots of academic potential. In terms of what that means in practice, we do have an academic bottom line. In the arts subjects, it tends to be A star AA in your A levels or your equivalent, A star A in the sciences. So you do need to be predicted in that, at least in that territory, and hopefully those grades or higher. That's our kind of academic bottom line, as I say. Then we're looking for people who, whatever school they're at, are really close to the top of the class. Basically, you're a high flyer at school, and you're going to come here and really thrive and flourish and make the most of the opportunity. And then the other thing I'd add is enjoyment. So you've got to enjoy what you're studying, because Cambridge is a lot of work, as we both know. There's a lot of time to have fun as well, but the terms are short, they're intense. You're going to be studying hard, and you've got to enjoy it to let that potential thrive.
What is the the percentage of successful applicants from those who apply?
So it used to be 1 in 5 until last year. Actually, it's now 1 in 6 because we get more applicants every year. But it's a pretty good chance of success. That's what I always say when I do outreach talks to students. Students often think it's going to be like 1 in 50 or 1 in 100, but the biggest reason still that people don't get in here is that they just don't apply, and they rule themselves out. 1 in 6, really good chance of success. So go for it.
How would you describe the average or a Cambridge student? What would somebody see? What is a Cambridge student? What do they look like?
Yeah, so the typical Cambridge student, as a bottom line, is someone with a lot of academic potential.
Right.
Because that's the only thing that we're looking for. We're not interested in your background more than helping us to judge your academic potential. We're not interested in what sports you play, what cultural capital you have, where you've been on holiday, what opportunities you've had. Again, apart from being able to judge your potential. So people come here from all walks of life, from within the UK and from overseas. So there is no one kind of typical Cambridge student. Having said that, we're well aware that from the outreach work that we do and the conversations that we have, and you have as well, that stereotypes do exist, and people often feel that a typical Cambridge student is someone posh, maybe often someone white, and from a public school, right? And again, we have to be open about the fact that 50 years ago and longer, that was very much the case. We have to be open. It's only been 50 years since women were admitted into Cambridge. We're well aware of that, as we should be. So the picture has changed, and there is still more change to happen. But it's now our focus is on making sure that the message that you should be applying if you've got a lot of academic potential interest in your subject, that filters down as far, and it gets out as widely as it can. Because we can only admit those who apply to us as well.
Absolutely.
So as I said, 75% of our offers this year to students from state schools, which is fantastic. We'd love to see more students from state schools and disadvantaged backgrounds continue to apply off the back of the outreach work we do. Maybe if you're watching this video and you're thinking, I'm on the fence about applying, I really hope that you will, as an applicant, will kind of see this conversation and think, go for it. This is for me. I can do it, because it's a place for you just as much as it's a place for anyone else.
Absolutely. Yeah. So another one that we're asked quite often is by students that are potential students again is, when do they need to apply? When do they need to get their applications in?
So the application deadline is the 15th of October to apply by UCAS. That is over 3 months now before the deadline for every other university, apart from Oxford, unless you're studying medicine or veterinary medicine. So prospective students are good to be asking that question, because they need to be on top of their stuff basically over the summer, you want to be coming back to school and knowing I'm going to apply to Cambridge. I need to be choosing my course, or already having chosen my course. I need to know what college I want to apply to if I want to choose a college pretty early on. Otherwise, that deadline can go past.
What could an applicant do to support their application between now and October?
So we're recording this just before the summer holidays. So you want to be really thinking about now what course I want to study. And you want to be finalising that pretty quickly, I would say. And you want to be exploring. So two things. The first one really is explore beyond what you've been doing in school. Okay. So I use explore seems slightly vague. I don't just mean reading. It can be listening to podcasts. It can be watching videos. It can be, if you're lucky enough to live near museums, going to a museum, and it doesn't have to be in a kind of big city museum. It can just be your local kind of town museum. Just go and have a look around and see how that relates to the subject you want to study. We run an initiative at Caius called Caius Explore, which is trying to help with that. In about 16 different subjects you can go, and there's a sort of task that's set for you, and then you can go away and explore that task, and it gives you some prompts and some guidance about how to start thinking critically, because that's also really important. Not just the exploration, so you're reading books, you're listening to podcasts, you're watching videos, but you're also thinking, maybe I disagree with this point, or this part is particularly interesting to me and it feeds into this other thing that I read a couple of weeks ago. It's like that kind of thing that we want to start to see, that shows us that when you get here, if you get here, you're going to thrive under the system of teaching that we have, which is loads of independent study, and it's going to ask you to do lots of that yourself. And then the second thing is starting to think a little bit about preparation for the application process. Okay. Two elements in particular: admissions tests and interviews. So if you're doing a subject with an admissions test, there'll be past papers online. I'm not saying that now we're in nearly June, you need to be doing a kind of past paper every day or every week at this point. Yeah. But have a look at what's expected of you. Have a look at what's on the syllabus. These tests are harder than what people are used to at school and A-level, because they're testing the very top ability range, and the students will be used to sort of whole ability range being tested, right? So your GCSEs might start with very easy questions and they'll get harder. These will just be hard questions from the start. So have a look at that. And finally, for the interview, lots of small group conversations with, the teacher is the best person to do that with, who's an expert in your subject. But secondary to that, someone else is applying to Cambridge or Oxford or a sort of Russell Group University. If you're interested in music, talk to someone else who's applying to music, and just, what are you interested in? What's going on in music that fascinates you? That's really great preparation, and that's something you can start doing right now.
And what resources are there for potential applicants, for people that are applying to Cambridge? What resources are there for them?
Yeah, good question. So there's all sorts of resources, kind of at different levels. So Cambridge as a university operates, we call it the link area scheme. So different areas of the country are linked to different colleges in Cambridge. So that's kind of the most intensive level of support that there is. You will be watching this video, you're going to school in the UK, you will be linked to a college, and they'll hopefully be in touch with your school, advertising events and opportunities. And if they're not in touch with your school, they will be trying to get in touch. And then secondary to that, or sort of the next level, is online resources that colleges and the university will put out. So, for instance, at Caius, we run a YouTube channel called Caius Schools. This may even go out on this YouTube channel, I don't know. And there's lots of kind of taster lectures, guidance from students, me and my colleagues giving sessions about the admissions process. So that's another place you can go. Then there's college and university, the university website, college websites. And then finally, there's external organisations as well. There's lots of charities. A couple of things that come to mind. There's the Advanced Maths Support Programme on the maths side, something called Project Euler if you're interested in computer science. All these kinds of things. I always say that the thing to remember with those is that don't pay for anything, right? Anything that's a free resource that's online, aimed at you, great. But don't sort of feel that you need to be paying any money to access that kind of support.
Quite often, we in the Porters Lodge get asked by potential students and people that are coming to look around, what could they do to make their application really stand out? What could they do to make you really notice their application?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I get it asked loads as well. And I always kind of flip it round and I say, based on the answers that I've just been given, we read everything individually. Everyone's treated as an individual. There's no kind of algorithm. I read everything cover to cover. And 1 in 6 of people who apply to Cambridge get made an offer. So I say, actually, you don't need to be standing out so much as you need to make sure that you're representing yourself and your interest in the subject as well as you possibly can in an honest and genuine way. And if you have that genuine interest and you have that genuine ability and potential, that will shine through. So I always say kind of focus on your interest rather than thinking, how do I represent myself in a way to stand out? I don't think applicants need to do that.
How are the decisions made? So, sort of how do you decide on who comes in and who doesn't?
Yes, it's really important to stress we're looking for academic potential, irrespective of background. And in order to do that, we need to take into account loads of different things. We treat them all individually with equal weight, and every applicant as well is treated as an individual. So we have the grades, the predicted grades, and the achieved academic profile so far. We also have context on the school that those grades are achieved in, and also, as an applicant, your kind of home area, so the socioeconomic characteristics of that, how often people from your area go on to university, these kinds of markers we look at as well. And then we're looking at the personal statement, we're looking at the teacher's reference, any admissions test results too. That's sort of deciding whether to come to interview, and then after the interview, which we'll come to in a second, I guess, is kind of how will the interview go, not as a kind of final, all-important hurdle, but just an extra piece of information that we then use. Sometimes I see people say, oh, everything's done by algorithm these days. There must be an algorithm that decides. There's no algorithms. It's me and it's the Director of Studies reading. I read 1,000 personal statements and applications every year, and I sit down and I do it, as do all the Directors of Studies in the subject. We ask Cambridge applicants to put in more work. They have to go through quite a lot of work in order to apply here. You have to get your act together 3 months earlier because you're applying in October. You have to do interviews. You have to do sometimes these admissions tests. We, as assessors, put in a lot of work as well, and that's only right. It's sort of we're meeting you with that because we want to make sure that we're making the best possible decisions. I think it's worth saying that it's never just one person. So it's not just me sort of deciding in a sort of dictatorial way, I think this is the best person. It's always a collaboration between the admissions tutor in the college or the admissions tutors and then the director or directors of studies. And we have conversations after the interviews to decide who we think we want to admit across the gathered fields in the college for all the subjects and the gathered field in that subject across all the colleges.
So Chris, thank you so much for your time, and I'm sure that's helped so many people to hopefully give them that nudge to come in and apply. So brilliant, thanks very much indeed.
Thanks, Martin. It was a great conversation, lots of really good questions. I've enjoyed speaking to you, and now the sun's out as well.
Excellent.
Well, I hope you enjoyed watching that as well, at home or in the classroom, wherever you are, and I hope it may have given you a sort of better picture of what Cambridge is like, what the admissions process is like, and maybe if you were on the fence about applying, maybe it's convinced you to apply to Caius or to another college in Cambridge. So thanks for watching. All the best, and it's been good to share this conversation with Martin and with you.
Definitely.
And yes, before I forget, do please remember to like and subscribe, and do comment down below as well. We always like to see comments, and I or one of the outreach team will respond to whatever questions you have. So go for it. Do please engage.